In the comments section of my recent PragerFU video on the subject of free will, people noted that I didn't really have much to say on the actual subject. Of course, I didn't have a choice, as that was not really the point of the video. See what I did there? Let me begin with this. I'm not sure I know exactly what we're talking about when we speak of free will, but I'm fairly confident about this. To the extent that free will exists at all, it exists on a continuum. We most certainly are not all gifted with the same degree or amount of this thing we call free will, however you want to define that. My thinking on the matter comes mostly from what we've been able to discover about ourselves and how our brains work. In particular, the degree to which all of us are constrained by the functionality of our brains, or the lack thereof. We now know that damage to specific parts of the brain, either organically or due to trauma, often fundamentally change who we are and what we want. That can range from a sudden desire to ingest kiddie porn to an uncontrollable urge to commit mass murder. In two such cases, people were at the mercy of a mass, not that Catholic thing, a tumor which fundamentally altered who they were and caused them to act in ways entirely inconsistent with who they were before. Did those people have free will? I don't think anyone would say they did. But if we can agree on such an obvious case, what about the other variables we all understand in terms of their importance in shaping who we are, but don't often consider when it comes to this question? The broader picture, while not quite so dramatic, is equally compelling. What does it mean to say that we have free will when none of us have had any say in who we are and how we came to be? There are an almost infinite set of variables that we now know play a significant role both individually and collectively in making us who we are. And we chose none of them. From the place and time in history into which we were born, to our genetics, to our parents, to the people who had influence over us when we were young, to our innate abilities and talents, to our skin color or height, or even the color of our hair. These things play a major role in who we will become and the opportunities that we will have open to us. We are also now aware of the influence evolution has had on our entire species and how certain things are hardwired into our brains, things about which we have absolutely no say. As I grow older, I'm continually amazed and often creeped out by how much I'm still attracted to young, beautiful women. Shocking, huh? These are not women with whom I would choose to have a relationship. I'm just not fond of explaining the 70s or my Bob Newhart references to a potential partner. No, Bill Daley is the neighbor. But biologically, my brain is hardwired to see female youth and beauty as an indicator of genetic fitness, a sign that my offspring will benefit from my DNA merging with hers, if you'll forgive the disgusting imagery. Indeed, the entire subject of desire is suggestive of our lack of choices. We do not choose our desires, but rather have them thrust upon us from, well, who knows where. We've finally begun to understand this as a society. I didn't choose to be sexually attracted to women any more than a gay man chooses to be attracted to other men. In other cases, something as simple as a traumatic event can have an impact on us we would not otherwise choose, but are rather subject to. We see this all the time in cases of mental illness. Our brains, which make up who we are, and I don't really think that's an open question at this point, are molded by the events of our lives and can physically change in response to trauma. It's a disturbing thought, but that is the reality. And to the extent that we are subject to such impositions on our very being, we are either more or less free. And we haven't even gotten into things like innate intelligence, talents, or personality, which anyone who has raised children knows is there to a very large extent from day one. To me, one thing is clear. The person I am today or at any given moment in my life is entirely contingent on an endless set of variables which came before, and over which I had little or no control. Those variables and the influence they've had on my life and my previous choices will impact my choices today and the choices I make in the future, even to the extent that some choices will be entirely removed along the way. Had those prior variables been otherwise, I wouldn't be the same person I am at this moment. and that more than likely would cause me to make a different decision, a different choice today. In other words, I may indeed be asserting my will in any choice I make today, but the endless set of variables that made me the person who made that choice was not chosen by me. I am a reaction to stimuli both internal and external, much of which I'm not even aware. I didn't freely or completely choose to be the person I am today any more than I choose to be heterosexual or someone who has a natural talent for music or drawing. That, at the very least, limits my freedom to choose and even the opportunities I have to choose from. As we more and more come to terms with the science involved and the discoveries we're making, we'll all be forced to rethink these ideas. And no one hates rethinking things based on scientific evidence more than the religious. So don't expect them to yield on this question anytime soon, especially when it's at the heart of their theology. For me, these understandings have had a major impact on my thinking, mostly in terms of the compassion I have for my fellow human beings. Several years ago, I made a couple of videos about the role luck plays in all of our lives. After viewing those videos, a friend of mine who teaches cognitive science at a nearby university told me that she really liked them. But, she said, there's really only one element of luck in life. We are either born with the wherewithal to handle whatever comes at us, or we're not. That's not a resource anyone gets to choose. I'm me, not that I would have chosen to be me. Thanks for watching.